Community is what creates all of the research, data, and those patterns that AI has learned from in the first place. Without people, AI is nothing more than just a bunch of broken weights and tokens. AI is either going to be your best teammate or that person that is in your seat when you get up. Community is going to really help shape your career, your relationships, and take you from one place to a place that you would have never been able to get to on your own.
Who says tech can't be human?
What's going on, Hacker Valley fam? Welcome back to the show. It's your boy, Ron Eddings. Today I'm flying solo, and I thought it's a perfect time to discuss two forces that can make or break your next opportunity in cybersecurity, technology, or really life as a whole. And those two forces are community and AI. Community is still the foundation for recognition, for opportunity, for really anything. Community gets you sponsored, like some of the Hacker Valley Studio episodes. It gets you into the room that is behind closed doors, where it's invite only. And community is going to really help shape your career, your relationships, and take you from one place to a place that you would have never been able to get to on your own. AI, on the other hand, is that coworker who can either help you finish early or is going to be taking your chair when you stand up. So here's the plan for this episode. I'm going to share some stories about what I really mean when I say community and how it can help you in your career. Then we're going to reality check the AI hype with a couple of live tests that even you can try yourself. So let's go ahead and jump on in. You know, when I think of community, the first thing that comes to my mind is your start. How you got started in life, how you got started in your career. When I first got my start into cybersecurity, I didn't do it alone. I had the help from my mother, and she was just over my house, and we had some good moments. We were reflecting on all the sacrifices that she made for me to help purchase my first computer. The biggest sacrifice was that my dad did not want me to have my first computer because of the price. The price of that computer was $700. And this was back in 2006, maybe, when I got my first computer that was all for me, not a family computer. My dad did not want my mom paying $700 for what seemed to be entertainment. And she was like, hey, Ron, you know, your birthday is so close to Christmas, so I'm willing to give you $500 for Christmas and then $200 for your birthday, and you can then go ahead and buy the computer. Usually I would get up to $200 per like special holiday like Christmas and my birthday. So it was a really big deal that my mom made that sacrifice for me. So what I did in return was I made sacrifices as well. I made the sacrifices by going to the library and the bookstore nonstop. I would spend all my extra cash on computer books rather than games. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm a human. I still bought games when I was a teen, but I bought them more in moderation. And not only did buying those books really help, but because of two books was how I landed my first two mentors. The first mentor that I've ever had was Marcus Carey. And Marcus and I met when I was around 16 or 17. I was working at a public access studio. This is a place that allows the community to come in and record in a public studio. It belonged to the county of Anne Arundel County in Maryland. So what I would do on Saturdays and Sundays for my job was record people. And one day, this gentleman, Marcus Carey, walks into the room, and Marcus is still in cybersecurity. He's an author and he's an absolute legend. He walks in and he sees this young 16, 17-year-old kid reading a book on computer networking. And he thought it was really cool that this young kid was reading this book. And he comes up to me and says, oh, you want to, work in IT? You want to work in tech? And I looked him dead in his face and I said, no, I'm a hacker. And as any adult would, hearing this from a teenager, he started laughing. He got a good laugh out of it, but it also showed the seriousness of, what I was going after at such a young age. So Marcus took me under his wing. We would meet every weekend, go to the coffee shop. This was before going to the coffee shop was cool. It wasn't a Starbucks. It was an internet cafe. We would go to this internet cafe. I would try to drink coffee. I didn't like it at the time, but we would read together. We would try to write applications and talk about security. And through Marcus's mentorship was how I landed my first job in cybersecurity just at the age of 19. I was working at Booz Allen Hamilton as an offensive operator. And that is just a fancy way of saying that I was a nation state actor for the United States government. I love this job. I love this job because I got to be a hacker. I got to really express and show my skills that I had practiced and read about and learned about. And I got to do that in a public and professional setting. My second mentor, who I met at Booz Allen Hamilton, was Marco Figueroa. I'll never forget the day that I met Marco because it was actually Marco and his brother that I met. For anyone that doesn't know Marco, he's been on the show several times. He's got his start as a reverse engineer in cybersecurity, and he's moved into threat intelligence, AI security research, and is just an absolute stud of a cybersecurity professional, but also a mentor. I met Marco because him and his brother were standing in the back of the room for one of our company all hands at Booz Allen Hamilton. They had these immaculate suits, these beautiful top hats. They really look like, founding fathers of our country, as fly and fresh as they looked. So I went up to them and I said, "Hey, I'm Ron. What's you all's name?" I didn't know what to say really, but I knew I had to meet these guys. They looked at me and they said, "Hey, nice to meet you, Ron. I'm Marco. I'm Kevin." And they handed me a card that said unallocated space. And it had an address, it had their phone number on it. And they said, "Hey, if you are about, your business in cyber, you came to us up to us randomly and you heard stories about our reverse engineering, come to this space tonight." So this space was called unallocated space. It was a hacker space. I had never been to one, but yeah, these guys told me to go. I was naive and trusting at the time. So I showed up to the spot later that night. And one of the first things that Marco said to me was, "You have to buy this book on C++ programming. If you can understand C++, then you can understand buffer overflows, you can understand exploitation, and then you can start to write your own one day if that's what you ultimately want to do as a hacker." So about 2 days later, I go back to unallocated space with the book that Marco recommended that I buy. I said, "Hey, look, I've just bought the book." And Marco says, "Oh, wow, that is so cool. I forgot my book at home. I need to buy that one off of you." So he gives me $40 and buys the book off of me that he just told me to buy. I thought this guy is absolutely crazy. But I really respected the hustle. If you need something, you have your community. At that point, even though he had bought the book from me, he could have just asked to rent it. I would have given it to him for free, but he wanted to see if I would buy it again, but he also needed it. But that shows the value of your community. Your community is going to help you out when you need something, whether you have to rent it, buy it, just use it for a second. I was there for Marco. Marco was there for me. I came back again 2 days later with that book again. And then that really solidified me and Marco's relationship. Because of Marco and Marcus Carey, I have had access to a great deal of opportunities. And this is just two of my mentors, two people that are in my community, not looking at all of the other hundreds of people that I've interviewed on this show. But these two people have provided me so much opportunity, especially before I thought I had deserved it. They got me into rooms that I never thought I would get into, especially at conferences like Black Hat and DEF CON. They've gotten me assistance with finding sponsors and building up my business of Hacker Valley Media. And they've also helped me get and apply the skills that I worked so hard for because, back in 2010, I would say up until around 2015, the resources in cybersecurity were scarce. There was a lot more manual intervention that you would have to do to launch an application, to test out a new theory or an idea. And back then, having access to people that knew what they were doing meant the world. And there's two places that I think everyone should consider going that works in cybersecurity. It's RSA conference and Black Hat USA conference. These two conferences is really where the people that are spending a lot of money are going. You want to be around the people that are gonna, give you a great deal of opportunities, who's gonna show you the good, the bad, the ugly, the opportunity. RSA and Black Hat, these aren't just places where you go and have hallway con and hallway chats. These are places where you can go and watch a technical talk. You can watch a leadership talk. You can go to some of these meetups that are now hosted at all of these events. Every vendor out there is throwing events and paying for them and offering them access to you for free by just going to these two conferences. I will say though, the last year, 2024 and 2025, Black Hat, RSA, these conferences, they felt a little less crowded. They felt less crowded, from my opinion, and also a little bit of the research that I've done because of the new hybrid nature of our world and our technology community. In 2024, there was around 21,000 attendees at Black Hat. And Black Hat and RSA, they're giving out new opportunities to build community through virtual attendance. Virtual attendance still has a long way to go until it's as good as in person, but it's still good. It's still opportunity and access to reach out to people that you wouldn't have normally seen. This is especially true through the chat. One of the things that everyone should do when they are watching someone that's inspiring, that's giving them nuggets and information, is go to LinkedIn and then connect with them and let them know the impact that they had on you. It's really cool to hear that someone has seen your work, but it's even more powerful when you hear how it's affected them. LinkedIn, a lot like RSA and Black Hat, is a strong place to build a community. These aren't the only places, but I'm talking about the places that could really lift you up overnight. For me, LinkedIn is the go-to. I go to these conferences, especially the regional ones. Those are really great. But LinkedIn's the go-to. It's not just a resume site. It's not just a site that you can talk about where you got your new job. It's a hub for ideas and opportunities and community. It's not geographically restrained, and that's what gives it really the power. We've used it through my own page and the Hacker Valley Media page to grow our reach, our influence. I actually go live on platforms like LinkedIn. So going live, posting, sharing what you're doing is going to lead to a lot. So I'm going to give you a practical tip that can really help you stand out on LinkedIn. It's called a DM, also known as a direct message. DMs are the most underutilized feature on all of these social media platforms, especially LinkedIn. DMs are special. DMs are special. I remember 2 years ago, I reached out to someone that I had known through someone else to be, understand if they wanted to be on our podcast. That led to us talking about speaking engagements. Hey, Ron, you're a great speaker. I would love to help you get speaking opportunities during Cybersecurity Awareness Month, this person said. So I didn't think much of it, but this is a new relationship that I'm building. And from a single DM, I had over 11 keynotes that I gave last October for Cybersecurity Month. This was revolutionary for me in my career because usually you have to join a speakers bureau or do a lot of outreach to get access to speak to major brands and talk about cybersecurity in a paid fashion. But this person, they had already built the infrastructure. It was someone that I had known through a friend. So it came with a little bit more validation and trust. And this person was really excited to see me. I didn't realize how excited they were going to be. And this is the power of just showing up for your community, whether it's someone that you don't know or someone that you do know, and providing them an opportunity usually leads to opportunities for yourself. With that said, I wanted to talk about an opportunity to join a very special community. Every month, Hacker Valley Media hosts a mastermind group session. This is a small group of practitioners, leaders, creatives who are shipping, sharing, and showing up on platforms like LinkedIn, at conferences like Black Hat. What you get by being a part of our mastermind community is monthly calls with our mastermind group. We talk about all types of subjects like community, like artificial intelligence, and like leveling up your personal or your professional brand. This is a network that is always there for you, especially when it matters most. It would mean the world to us if you consider joining our mastermind community. You can learn more by visiting hackervalley.com/mastermind. So let's move on to our next segment, artificial intelligence. I hear a lot of people saying, is AI coming for your job? Or is it maybe that teammate that you've always wanted? What just happened? OpenAI launched GPT-5, and they claim that GPT-5 is a step towards artificial general intelligence, a subject that really outlines how AI is going to be just as efficient as a person. In this new OpenAI launch, they described GPT-5 as PhD level intelligence, and they said it's great across writing code, healthcare, and many more disciplines. Right after they launched it, there was a wave of users that said, doesn't feel as good. The answers feel shorter, the tone is more cold, and there's some weird mistakes that were displayed when they launched and showed the power of GPT-5. There was so much backlash about GPT-5 not being as great as it was, and the fact that they removed all other models from the model list for ChatGPT users. After all the backlash, they brought GPT-4o back in as an opt-in model for only paid users because they didn't want to make everyone too mad. So here's the net. They're iterating to bring 4o's warmth into 5. That is according to The Verge. Instead of arguing on Reddit whether or not AI can take my job and GPT-5 is amazing, let's test it as any other cybersecurity practitioner would. I'm going to be dropping the OpenAI ChatGPT threads into the show notes or description wherever you're listening or watching, so you can see what it said and also continue the conversation as you wish. My first prompt says that you are the incident commander for a fintech company that operates as a payment processor. You have 450 employees. You have a hybrid workforce. You use Okta, Microsoft 365, CrowdStrike, and Rapid7. Assume we detect ransomware on 12 endpoints. Initial access is done via OAuth app. Create a practical 6-hour playbook with clear owners, whether it be IR lead, comms, legal, IT. Also include decision points, whether we should isolate hosts or shut down a VPN, and also include a list of do's and don'ts for security engineers. And last but not least, include a 1-page summary for the CEO. ChatGPT, I say it still has it. It came up with a great plan. Now, there's a lot more context that I would need to give this thread to really get very specific and accurate for myself. It does take a little bit of time for ChatGPT-5 to respond. It took 41 seconds to generate this response, but still, if I were to do this myself, this would take me probably an hour to a whole day, depending on the complexity of my organization. But here's what it responded back with. It gave roles and on-call owners. It broke out many different participants that are typically part of an incident, like an IR lead, security engineering lead, IT, comms, legal, SRE or DevOps, fraud, risk liaison, and legal counsel. And the first thing it said is from 0 minutes to 15 minutes, declare and contain fast. You want to first bring in your IR lead, declare it a severity 1 ransomware incident, open up a ticket or a case, whatever your preference is, and then set a 30-minute status cadence and designate a scribe. This is essential. Having a cadence where you're constantly asking people for new information and someone that can take notes. This can probably be done through a person asking questions and a meeting transcriber these days. So this is still a great first step. After the IR information, it also gives information about what other team members should do within the first 15 minutes. It says security engineering and IT, they should isolate those 12 endpoints immediately via CrowdStrike. This may be a good step, but it may be a bad step for security engineering and IT. It might be a good step because isolating is good. That means it's not going to spread any further across your environment. But you don't know the root cause. If you don't know the root cause, that means other endpoints in your environment might already be infected. It also gives a responsibility for identity. It says that you want to disable user consent. You want to no longer allow the users to authenticate to applications because in this instance, we're using Okta. And it said comms and legal, prepare an internal hold messages to employees. Say in that message that we're investigating a security incident, follow these IT directions, expect multi-factor authentication prompts, and do not power off your machines. Now, I think that this is a great step. Even if you were to isolate, you don't want to power off the machines because that is forensic information that you can pull out. Now, if this is a cloud instance that has ransomware on it, even better, you can make a copy of it. And now you can allow the adversary to do whatever else they want to do on that endpoint because it's isolated and you have the original state of it when you found that it was infected. There's many other things in this document. This document that ChatGPT gave me back, I would say is pretty verbose. It's pretty instructive, and it has some good steps that you can lean on if you don't have an incident response plan. Now, let's look at some of the do's and don'ts. It says, do isolate the host immediately. Don't pay or contract threat actors without legal or executive approval. Absolutely. It says, do capture evidence before eradication. So this is saying that you want to capture all the evidence that you can before you kick the adversary out of your environment completely. Don't reboot, wipe, or delete the malicious OAuth app before collecting evidence. So these are some good do's and don'ts. Now let's look at the last thing that we asked it to give us. We asked it to give us a little bit of a summary for our CEO. It gave a summary that is actually too long to read on this episode, but the summary had a few different key points. It had what happened. It had the current impact. It has what we've done in the first hours, which is very important. Your CEO is going to really want to know what happened, but they're going to want to know that you've also taken the steps already to start the containment and eradication of that incident. And it also says that, hey, here's what we're going to do over the next 2 to 6 hours, and here's where we need your decision making. This is really good. I think that ChatGPT 5 seems as good as ChatGPT 4.0. Now, I'm sure there's edge cases where ChatGPT 5 really excels. I've heard through research and also through OpenAI, their live stream, they said ChatGPT 5 hallucinates a lot less. Now, when it comes to incident response, that's exactly what we want. We want less hallucination. We want predictable patterns and workflows that we can follow if we're using AI, because we want to be accurate when it comes to getting rid of our adversaries out of our environment or applying those configurations and not being hit with things like ransomware due to misconfiguration. I wanted to do one other test with GPT-5 just to be thorough. So I used some of that same technology stack that was in my previous prompt, and I formulated just about a 5 to 10 line log file that had Okta information. It has Azure information, it has a little bit of Microsoft 365 information, and it also has information from CrowdStrike. It's just a few log lines. And it says, act as a tier 2 analyst, summarize what happened, identify the primary intrusion vector, rate your confidence, and list 3 immediate containment steps and 2 questions for our IR lead. Provide a 1-paragraph executive summary and a technical appendix. So with this log information that I gave it and no other context, it actually did a really good job of trying to make sense out of it. I think things like AI are so essential when it comes to reviewing logs because humans aren't good at viewing logs. We need log parsers and custom scripts and expensive SaaS or on-prem solutions to read through this information. And we were able just to pass it into ChatGPT and get immediate information. Now, there's a lot of people that say, why would I ever put my log and company sensitive information into an AI provider? Well, let me tell you, You can have on-prem, really in cloud AI instances of things like ChatGPT. You can have internal instances of things like Anthropic's Claude through Amazon. So you can run these LLMs in the most of sensitive environments, whether it be HIPAA environments, whether it be government environments. It's just all about how you host the LLM. Back to what ChatGPT gave us. It broke down exactly what it believes happened. It gave us timestamps, and it also gave us a little bit of context. It says at a specific time, Okta showed a login signal for a user named Jay Silva, and they use Python requests to try to do their multi-factor authentication verification. That's sketch. And then a few minutes later, they successfully logged in, the user Jay Silva, via the same IP address with Mozilla. So that would definitely make my heart rate go up a little bit as a cybersecurity practitioner. A few minutes later, the same user granted access to a new app called Docs Enhancer. It has the ability to read your mail. It also has the ability to read your files on Microsoft 365. Not a good look. Minutes later, after the person successfully authenticated, they see that there was a download of a file called q3forecast.xlsx. And then last but not least, CrowdStrike shows that there was a note that was dropped in the user's hard drive. So this is really good information, a quick gut check on log analysis as to what happened. I like to give AI a lot of context as to what I want it to determine, but some instances I want to see what it just thinks without a lot of context. In this situation, I'm getting an unbiased AI opinion. That opinion might not be correct, but it's unbiased. As I get further and further in my investigation and get more confident about these things being known facts or true positives, then I'm going to give it more context about exactly what I know happened, and then have it give me more predictions about what it thinks about the unknown areas that I don't necessarily have definitive proof on yet. All in all, this technology is hot. It's solid. It works. It's not perfect. It's not even remotely close to being perfect. Earlier in the episode, I said that AI is either going to be your best teammate or that person that is in your seat when you get up. It's going to be in your seat when you get up if you don't use it, because as we find deficiencies and opportunities, we're going to try to use AI and large language models to help fill those gaps. I found great efficiencies and operational efficiencies through AI, from meeting transcriptions, from analysis of just linear data, log files. I've received value through image generation. A lot of us have team names, and team names are so hard to think of. Why not just use an LLM to give it all the things that you're thinking and then have it help you build and generate a team name? There's a real debate that's going on right now. And the debate is, can AI augment and replace tier 1 and tier 2 analysts? My suspicion is yes. My suspicion is yes, because why will we not want that? We should want that. Tier 1 analysts, there has never been a tier 1 SOC analyst that I've met to date that says, I want to do this forever. I want to carry this torch indefinitely. So that is what I would consider to be a problem. It's a problem because we need tier 1 analysts. We need that tier 1 support. Someone's got to do the job, someone or something. And you got to do that job well. I would prefer anyone that joins my company or that I work directly with. We work together for years. We know that tier 1 analysts, there's a huge burnout rate because they're doing a lot of things that are repetitive in nature that I would consider to be a little annoying after you've done it enough and reached enough false positives. AI can help relieve some of that burden. I think that there's a world in which a tier 3 analyst can do the work of a tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 with the help of AI. Now, that's going to be a little bit. It's going to be a little bit because AI is really great at answering questions, but it's not necessarily the best at performing tasks unless that task is to answer a question. So with that being said, if I wanted to, do the analysis of that log file that I gave it, great. But if I wanted to start to do the eradication and the containment of that specific incident, that's where things get a little fishy, because I've used AI a lot when it comes to vibe coding and context engineering, where I'm trying to take a lot of information and use the LLM to supply me something very condensed and action worthy. Along the way of using LLMs and allowing it to use my hard drive and access my physical device, it's deleted things. It hasn't gone as far as deleting my entire operating system, but it has deleted my database. It has removed files and created duplicate files for things that it probably shouldn't. So until it's very consistent, we probably have a little bit more time before we worry about tier 1 and tier 2 analysts going away. But it is happening, and I promise you that. It's happening in front of us, and the tech is frequently getting better. So with all of this being said, is AI coming for my job? Yes. But how do I prevent AI taking my job? It comes back to community. Community is what creates all of the research, data, and those patterns that AI has learned from in the first place. Without people, AI is nothing more than just a bunch of broken weights and tokens. So your challenge for today is to DM someone in your network, to mentor someone new that's trying to break in and strengthen your connection with everybody. One thing that can change someone's week or their career is showing up and providing value. If you want to go deeper into the community topic and the AI topic, I have something for you. We're going to be hosting a LinkedIn live stream with Gerald Auger on September 4th. We're going to be breaking down how to become visible online and in conferences, how to build trust, and how to turn showing up into real opportunities. You can check out that live stream and register for it in the show notes or description, wherever you're listening or watching. There's a link for you. And I wanted to say a big thank you to everybody for tuning in and showing up for yourself, for your community. If you've gotten any value out of this show or this episode, it would mean the world to us if you liked, subscribed, and shared this episode with someone that you think would find value from it. And with that, we will see everyone next time.